Awaken your spirit, chosen ones. The quieter you became, the louder everything around you started to panic. It's almost funny how your calm, unbothered energy has turned into a full-blown psychological thriller for someone who thought they had you figured out. One moment, they were confident, loud and smug. The next, they're pacing floors, rereading old messages and pretending not to care while secretly checking if you've posted something that could be about them. That's what happens when a storm meets still water. The storm loses its meaning. Here's the truth. Studies in behavioral psychology show that humans instinctively feel uneasy around what they can't predict or control. Your calm demeanor doesn't just confuse people. It threatens their sense of control. You became an emotional Rubik's Cube they can't solve, and it's driving them quietly insane. You don't chase, you don't argue, and you don't explain. That's not detachment. That's power wearing a straight face. And the best part? You didn't do it for attention. You simply decided you were done wasting energy on noise. While they're decoding silence like it's a hidden message from the universe, you're just minding your business, drinking water and healing in peace. It's almost poetic. The same people who once called you too calm are now losing sleep over how you stay that way. But that's the beauty of real growth. You stopped reacting, and the universe started rearranging. You stopped fighting for validation, and suddenly the ones who doubted you are fighting for your response. The balance shifted, not because you planned it, but because peace always outlasts pretense. So yes, chosen one, get ready. Your calm demeanor isn't just making waves, it's flipping the whole ocean. Someone out there is climbing the walls, trying to figure out how you manage to look so unbothered while life itself bends in your favor. And honestly, let them climb. You earned this peace, and watching people trip over their own assumptions about you is just the divine comedy of karma doing its job. Number 1, your calm isn't absence, it's authority. There's something magnetic about a person who doesn't react when everyone else is scrambling for control. That's you. People can't decide whether to admire you or accuse you of not caring, because your calm doesn't fit into their chaos. They've been taught that loudness equals strength, that the one who talks most wins. But you operate on a different law, one that says real power doesn't perform, it presides. You're not calm because you don't feel. You're calm because you've already faced what they still fear to confront. Your energy doesn't rush to prove a point because it already knows its position. It's like walking into a room where everyone is trying to be seen, and somehow your stillness draws all the eyes. That's authority. Not the kind that demands obedience, but the kind that quietly rearranges the atmosphere. Your presence doesn't compete, it corrects. People who haven't mastered themselves don't know how to interpret that. To them, composure looks like disinterest, when in reality it's discipline in its purest form. Every time you stay calm in the face of provocation, you're sending a message stronger than any argument could. You're saying, I'm not entering that energy field because I no longer live there. And that right there is what unsettles people. They can't bait you, can't manipulate you, can't control you through reaction. Your peace disarms their patterns. It exposes how much of their identity depends on chaos. That's why your calm feels like confrontation to them. It forces them to see their own lack of self-command. This kind of authority can't be faked. You can't download it from a motivational video or pretend it into existence. It's earned in silence, in the places where you learn to breathe through pain and trust timing over panic. That's where your calm was forged, not in comfort, but in surrender. So now, when storms rise, you don't flinch. You simply adjust your crown and keep moving, because your spirit already knows how this ends. People will keep wondering how you do it, how you stay so centered when the world shakes. Let them wonder. The truth is, your calm isn't an act of absence. It's the sound of a soul that finally took its throne. Number 2. Peace is the most intimidating power on earth. There's something deeply unsettling about someone who refuses to be shaken. When everything in the world screams for attention, your peace is rebellion. People don't know how to handle it because it goes against everything they were taught about power. They think dominance comes from being loud, forceful, or controlling, but you've proven it can also come from stillness, from the kind of balance that doesn't need to announce itself to exist. That's what makes your peace so intimidating. It doesn't compete, it simply outlasts. Your peace unnerves people because it exposes how restless they really are. They're constantly chasing something, validation, applause, revenge, while you move like someone who's already found it. That kind of stability can't be faked, and deep down, they know it. You don't react to insults because you've detached from needing approval. You don't rush to defend yourself because you know the truth will stand longer than their opinions. That calm confidence unsettles egos built on noise. It's not that you're trying to make anyone uncomfortable. Your existence just silently reveals who still depends on chaos to feel alive. What they call boring or too calm is actually emotional maturity. It's the point where you stop being addicted to reactions. You learned that peace isn't the absence of conflict. It's the mastery of it. You can walk through fire and not smell like smoke because you've trained your spirit to choose response over reaction. That's what makes your presence feel powerful even when you say nothing. People sense when someone has done inner work. They feel it before they understand it, and your peace carries that unmistakable energy, the kind that doesn't break under pressure, the kind that refuses to match low vibrations. It's not arrogance, it's awareness. You've seen too much, felt too much, and survived too much to let small minds or sudden chaos pull you out of alignment. That's why your peace has power. It's not performance, it's proof. Proof that growth happened, that healing worked, and that self-control really is a form of quiet dominance. And the more you choose peace, the more the world reveals who's still enslaved to noise. Because truthfully, nothing scares an unstable spirit more than a soul that no longer flinches. Number 3, your energy doesn't chase, it chooses. There's a quiet kind of confidence in people who know their value. They don't move from desperation, they move from discernment. That's the frequency you carry now, one that doesn't chase, but chooses. You no longer run after people, opportunities, or validation because you've realized anything real will recognize you without persuasion. That's not pride, that's alignment. It's the understanding that what's truly meant for you won't need convincing, and what requires constant chasing was never truly yours to begin with. When you stop chasing, something interesting happens. The energy shifts. The things and people that once ignored you suddenly notice you. Not because you became louder or flashier, but because you finally stopped leaking your power. You stopped sending energy to places that only took without returning it. You stopped begging for access where your presence was already the privilege. That's what choosing looks like, selective investment. You give where there's reciprocity, not residue. People feel that shift even if they can't name it. They sense that you're not seeking approval anymore, and it unsettles them. In a world addicted to attention, indifference from someone who used to care is deafening. Your calm withdrawal speaks louder than any confrontation could. When you no longer chase, those who once overlooked you begin to feel the emptiness your energy used to fill. They realize too late that your attention was never free, it was sacred. But choosing over chasing isn't about playing games or withholding love. It's about knowing your worth so deeply that you no longer beg to be understood. You move with the quiet assurance that you can want something without needing to run after it. That kind of self-possession radiates strength. Not the loud, performative kind, but the kind that silently rewrites the dynamic. It teaches the world how to treat you, not because you demanded respect, but because you embodied it. Your energy now carries boundaries that feel like elegance. You no longer reach, you attract. You no longer chase, you align. And that shift doesn't just change your relationships, it changes your reality. Because once you stop chasing what's temporary, you make room for what's true. That's not detachment, that's divine precision. Number 4, their anxiety is the echo of your alignment. You're not the reason they're uneasy, your alignment is. When someone has built their confidence on control, your centeredness feels like a threat. You don't need validation, and that independence shakes people who survive off being seen. They can't understand how you can be so steady when they've spent their entire lives trying to prove themselves. So your peace becomes their tension, your balance becomes their imbalance, and your authenticity becomes their silent exposure. They can feel that you no longer move from ego, and that makes every ego around you twitch. Your alignment reflects everything they've been avoiding in themselves. It highlights the instability they try to cover with performance. While they're exhausting themselves pretending to be composed, you're simply being. That effortless flow reminds them how far they are from their own truth. And that's why they fidget around you, gossip about you, or project onto you. Because being near someone aligned makes the unaligned confront what they've buried. They can't fake calm around someone who is calm. The contrast is too loud. The irony is, you're not even trying to make a statement. You're just living in rhythm with yourself. You're not forcing peace. You've become it. That's what alignment does. It reorders everything around you. People start to reveal who they really are, not because you exposed them, but because your energy made pretense impossible. Some will admire it, some will resist it, but all will feel it. The uncomfortable truth is that not everyone wants peace. Some people need chaos to feel alive. So when you show up balanced, you remove their fuel source. They can't feed off your reaction, can't provoke your participation. That silence becomes their mirror, and what they see in it is everything they haven't healed. You're not their enemy, you're their reflection. So don't shrink your alignment to make others comfortable. Let their anxiety do its job. It's not a sign that you're intimidating. It's proof that your energy is pure enough to disturb what's false. The more you walk in truth, the more illusions around you tremble. That's not your burden. That's your confirmation. You didn't cause their unease. You just revealed it. Number 5, you became their obsession. When you stopped explaining yourself, people get addicted to what they can't define. For a long time, you handed out explanations like peace offerings, trying to justify your choices, clarify your silence, and prove your intentions. But when you finally stopped doing that, everything shifted. You took back your power. Because the truth is, explanation feeds curiosity, and curiosity without access turns into obsession. The moment you stopped performing for understanding, they started performing for your attention. You became the unanswered question they can't stop thinking about. They used to think they knew you, your triggers, your patterns, your soft spots. But when you withdrew the blueprint, they lost control of the narrative. Now they're left guessing, and that guessing is driving them wild. It's not even about love or hate anymore. It's about the discomfort of not being able to read you. People who live on assumption can't stand mystery. They crave predictability because it makes them feel powerful. Your silence stripped that away. And now, your absence speaks louder than any explanation ever could. But your withdrawal wasn't manipulation, it was evolution. You realize that clarity isn't something you owe, it's something you give when trust is earned. You learned that not everyone deserves access to your reasoning, because some people only listen to twist it. You stopped over-explaining not out of arrogance, but out of self-respect. You outgrew the need to be understood by those committed to misunderstanding you. Now your mystery holds weight. It's not that you're hiding, it's that you've become too grounded to need validation. People feel that. They can sense that your focus has shifted inward and that energy is magnetic. You've become a mirror that reflects their confusion back to them. They can't stop watching, wondering or comparing, because your calm detachment reminds them of the control they wish they had. That's the irony. They cared less when you were available, and now they care most when you're not explaining. You didn't chase their understanding. You forced them to confront their own lack of it. That's the quiet power of growth, when your peace turns into someone else's obsession, not because you tried to be mysterious, but because mastery never needs to announce itself. Number 6. Your calm reveals their chaos. Some people can hide their instability from almost everyone, until they stand next to someone truly calm. Your presence doesn't just fill a space, it filters it. You don't need to confront anyone or call them out. Your stillness does it for you. It's like your energy quietly rearranges the room, and suddenly all the pretending starts to crack. The people who once looked composed begin to fidget. The ones who love attention start to shrink. The ones who thrive on drama can't find a place to plug in. You didn't expose them through words. You did it by staying grounded while their masks began to slip on their own. That's what real calm does. It reveals everything that's not. Your energy isn't loud, but it's heavy with truth. It holds a vibration that makes false confidence collapse under its own weight. They thought their noise made them strong, but your peace proved it was only camouflage. It's unsettling for them because they can't compete with something they can't provoke. You don't argue, you don't rush, and you don't bite the bait. And that's what drives them mad. Chaos feeds on reaction, and you've starved it. Your calm doesn't mean you're detached from reality. It means you've learned the art of restraint, knowing when silence is louder than defense. It's the kind of composure that doesn't come from ignoring life, but from mastering it. You've faced storms and still walk like the sky belongs to you. That steadiness radiates power without effort, and that's exactly why it exposes so much. When you stand still, other people's noise becomes deafening, not to you, but to them. They hear their own disorder echoing off your peace. This is why your energy makes certain people uncomfortable. They can't pretend to be balanced when they're near someone who actually is. You make their chaos visible, not through confrontation, but through contrast. And that's what unnerves them most. You never tried to unmask anyone, yet somehow truth always surfaces when you're around. Your calm became the mirror they avoided, and when they finally saw their reflection in it, they realized it wasn't you who made them uneasy. It was everything inside them that your peace quietly revealed. Number 7. Detachment isn't coldness, it's clarity. People often mistake your calm withdrawal for emotional distance, when in truth it's one of the highest forms of wisdom. You're not detached because you've stopped feeling. You're detached because you finally know where your feelings should no longer flow. You've learned that not everyone deserves your full access, not every situation requires your reaction, and not every invitation to chaos needs your attendance. That's not coldness. That's self-preservation born from self-awareness. Detachment is what happens when pain teaches you precision. You've been through enough cycles to recognize what drains you and what nourishes you. You no longer get caught in emotional traps disguised as loyalty or empathy. You've learned to observe without absorbing. That's a rare kind of power, one that doesn't numb you, but protects you. You still care, just differently. You care without collapsing. You love without losing yourself. You listen without carrying what's not yours to fix. That's emotional maturity, not disconnection. People who rely on emotional chaos for control won't understand this version of you. They'll call you distant, cold, or selfish because your peace no longer fuels their drama. What they don't realize is that your detachment isn't rejection, it's redirection. You're simply prioritizing alignment over attachment. You're choosing to stay rooted in clarity instead of getting tangled in confusion. That's what true healing does. It teaches you to stay close to your center, even when people try to pull you away from it. There's freedom in not needing to react to everything that happens. You've realized that your energy is currency, and not everyone can afford your attention. Detachment allows you to see things for what they are, not what your emotions wish they were. It gives you space to respond with wisdom instead of impulse. It's what keeps your spirit light while others carry unnecessary weight. So when people say you've changed, they're right. You have. You've stopped letting emotions make decisions that logic has to clean up. You've stopped confusing attachment with connection. Detachment doesn't mean you stopped loving. It means you stopped bleeding for things that won't heal you. That's not coldness, that's clarity, and clarity is the real definition of peace. Number 8, you don't need to prove purity. Presence already does it. There's a certain kind of truth that doesn't need defending. It simply exists. That's what your presence carries. You don't have to explain your intentions, justify your kindness, or advertise your integrity. People feel it before you speak. Real purity doesn't perform. It radiates. It's an energy that communicates honesty without effort, and those who are still tangled in pretense can't help but react to it. They sense something different about you, something unbought and unfiltered, and it stirs them, sometimes in admiration, sometimes in discomfort. You've probably noticed it. People either open up around you or become guarded. That's because energy always recognizes energy. Your spirit doesn't just enter a room, it reveals the atmosphere of it. Those with clean hearts feel safe in your frequency, while those with hidden motives feel exposed. You're not trying to call anyone out. Your alignment does it naturally. When your presence carries truth, it vibrates against anything built on deception. That's why some people feel uneasy without knowing why. It's not you. It's what you represent. There's a quiet authority in people who live in integrity. They don't need to prove who they are because their consistency does it for them. You've reached that point where your actions speak with more credibility than any explanation ever could. That's not arrogance, that's authenticity. You've been tested enough times to know that character isn't proven in conversation, it's revealed in patterns. So now, you simply show up as you are, and let time confirm what words never could. The funny thing about purity is that it doesn't shout for recognition, yet it commands it. It has its own gravity. People who once doubted you eventually come to realize they never understood the level you were operating on. You don't need to convince anyone that your motives are good when your vibration already tells the truth, and those who can't perceive it aren't meant to. Not everyone has the sensitivity to read genuine energy. So you keep moving with quiet grace. Let your peace be the proof, your steadiness the statement, and your presence the message. You never needed to prove your purity. You just needed to stand still long enough for truth to introduce itself. Number 9. What they call unbothered is actually unreachable. People love to label what they can't touch. When they call you unbothered, it's because they can't comprehend your elevation. You're not ignoring anyone. You've simply outgrown the level where their tactics work. You no longer get pulled into gossip, drama, or emotional manipulation because you've learned that not every noise deserves a reaction. That's not indifference. That's growth. You've seen too much. healed too deeply, and evolved too far to keep entertaining chaos that doesn't match your peace. Your stillness isn't apathy, it's altitude. The truth is, you're not unbothered, you're unreachable. You've climbed out of frequencies that once held you hostage. The same patterns that used to trigger you now barely graze your awareness. It's not that you don't care, it's that you finally care correctly. You stopped confusing attention with connection, and you realized your energy is sacred real estate. Not everyone can rent space there. So while they're trying to pull you back into old dynamics, you're breathing rare air where peace lives. That elevation doesn't always look glamorous. Sometimes it looks like not replying, not explaining, and not attending every emotional fire you didn't start. But that's the cost of clarity. Solitude becomes your filter. You've learned that access to you is a privilege, not a right. And when people can no longer control you emotionally, they start calling you detached. It's easier for them to mislabel your calm than to admit they lost their grip. Your distance feels like rejection to those who feed on validation. They mistake your boundaries for arrogance because they can't tell the difference between exclusion and protection. But you're not shutting people out. You're just preserving your peace. You stopped showing up where your presence was only appreciated when it was convenient. That kind of self-respect feels foreign to those still addicted to dysfunction, so let them call it what they want. Cold, distant, too quiet. None of it matters, because what they're really reacting to isn't your absence, it's their inability to reach your new level. You didn't become unbothered, you became untouchable. Not because you stopped caring, but because you finally remembered who you were before the world tried to make you forget. Number 10. They can't imitate what they don't understand. People can copy your words, your tone, even your outer peace, but they'll never duplicate the spirit that built it. You earned your calm the hard way through silence, surrender, and self-confrontation. You didn't learn it from a quote or a trend. You learned it from pain that refused to let you stay shallow. That's what makes your energy different. It's rooted in authenticity, not appearance. So when others try to imitate your composure without walking your path, it always falls apart. Because imitation might look convincing until life tests it. They don't realize that your calm isn't cosmetic, it's carved. It came from nights where you had to hold yourself together when no one else could. It came from learning restraint when your emotions begged for release. Your peace wasn't practiced for show. It was built for survival. That's why it feels unshakable now. It's not something you wear, it's something you've become. Meanwhile, those trying to mimic it think composure is about keeping a straight face, not realizing it's about mastering your internal dialogue. When people copy what they don't understand, they expose themselves. You can always tell the difference between someone who's genuinely grounded and someone trying to look zen for attention. Real calm has gravity. It pulls respect without effort. Fake calm cracks under pressure because it's not built on healing. It's built on performance. That's why imitation collapses. You can't sustain an energy you didn't earn. They want the results of your transformation, but not the refinement that forged it. You never had to announce your growth, and that's what makes it so powerful. Those who try to mimic your peace are learning that tranquility without truth is just silence waiting to break. They can steal your style, but not your substance. They can borrow your mannerisms, but not your mastery. Because your calm isn't a costume, it's evidence. So let them try. Let them study your stillness and rehearse your restraint. Eventually, they'll discover that your peace didn't come from pretending to be okay. It came from becoming whole. And no matter how closely they copy your reflection, they'll never match the depth of a soul that earned its quiet through fire. Number 11. You're not ignoring them. You're guarding your frequency. There comes a point when silence stops being avoidance and starts being intelligence. You've reached that point. You no longer respond to everything that calls your name because you've realized your energy is sacred. Not everyone deserves a conversation, let alone your attention. You're not ignoring people out of spite. You're protecting your peace from unnecessary interference. You've learned that every exchange costs something, and your spirit refuses to keep paying for connections that drain more than they give. Guarding your frequency means you finally understand the power of access. You used to hand it out freely, replying to every message, explaining every decision, justifying every boundary. Now you recognize that engagement is energy, and you've stopped investing it where it's not respected. You no longer feel guilty for not responding to chaos. You've realized that silence isn't a weakness, it's strategy. It's the invisible shield that keeps your energy clean while others tangle themselves in noise. People who thrive on attention will call you distant, cold, or changed. That's fine. They're not used to someone who doesn't feed their need for reaction. Your silence exposes their dependency on drama. They can't handle that your peace doesn't bend to their provocation. You're not giving them attitude, you're giving them absence. And that's what truly unsettles them. Because when you stop reacting, they lose control. And for people who need control to feel relevant, your calm feels like exile. Guarding your frequency doesn't mean you're above anyone. It means you're finally aligned enough to know what resonates and what doesn't. You move with discernment now. You can love people from afar without letting them drain you up close. You can care without collapsing. You can watch chaos unfold without feeling obligated to join it. That's evolution, not ego. So yes, you've become quieter, slower to respond, harder to reach. But that's not detachment. It's direction. You've realized your energy is the most valuable currency you own, and not every invitation deserves a transaction. You're not ignoring them. You're preserving yourself. Because when your peace costs less than their attention, that's when you've truly learned the language of power. Number 12. Their curiosity is really their conviction. People don't stay curious about something they don't feel drawn to. When they keep circling around your energy, asking questions, watching from a distance, or subtly checking in, that's not just interest. That's conviction in disguise. Deep down, they already know who you are and what you carry. They sense that you're living proof of the very truth they've been avoiding. You became a walking reminder that authenticity still wins, that peace really is power, and that spiritual alignment can't be faked forever. That realization doesn't sit comfortably with them. It stirs something they can't suppress. Their curiosity isn't about wanting to understand you, it's about wanting to disprove what you represent. But the problem is, your consistency keeps confirming it. The more they try to analyze you, the more your energy quietly exposes their contradictions. You're not flaunting anything or trying to prove a point, yet your very existence confronts everything false in theirs. It's not arrogance, it's alignment. You're living in the truth they talk about, but don't walk in, and that creates an uncomfortable tension between who they are and who they claim to be. That's why they can't stop observing you. Your calmness, your choices, your peace, it all becomes a reflection of what's possible if they stopped pretending. You trigger both admiration and denial. They want to believe you're just lucky or detached, because accepting the truth means admitting they could have chosen differently too. That's why they stay watching. They're not just curious about you. They're convicted by your clarity. What makes it powerful is that you're not trying to convince anyone of anything. You simply live your truth, and your life does the talking. You don't preach, you prove. Your energy carries the evidence they can feel but can't explain. Every time they sense your peace, their spirit reminds them that what you have isn't unreachable. It's just unavailable to those who refuse to grow. So let them keep wondering. Their curiosity is the beginning of their awakening. You don't need to defend your light. It's already doing the work. The same energy they question is the same truth quietly working on them. They're not intrigued by you. They're convicted by what your alignment exposes in them. Number 13. Your balance disrupts the hierarchy of pretenders. You don't compete in their arena because you don't belong to it, and that's exactly why your presence rearranges the whole hierarchy. In a world obsessed with performance, balance is rebellion. Your steadiness exposes the instability that most people spend their lives disguising. They've built entire identities around being noticed, louder, flashier, more dramatic. But you move in quiet authenticity. You're not chasing validation, and that's what makes you magnetic. You became the attention they can't buy, the presence they can't replicate, and the peace they can't pretend to have. Pretenders thrive on imbalance. They need chaos to appear important. They confuse motion with meaning and noise with influence. So when you walk in with calm authority, you break their unspoken system. You don't compete for a spotlight, you become it. Not through arrogance, but through alignment. Your energy doesn't ask to be seen, it simply is. And in a culture addicted to pretending, that kind of truth feels revolutionary. It's the quiet type of power that makes performers feel small, because your existence proves that substance doesn't need spectacle. They can sense it too. You don't participate in their emotional games, and yet you end up being the one everyone listens to. You don't post for approval, but your silence carries more weight than their constant display. That unsettles people who only feel valuable when they're visible. Your balance destroys their illusion of control, because it proves that authenticity holds more gravity than attention ever could. The irony is you're not even trying to disrupt anything. You're just living from your center. But balance has a way of exposing imbalance. When you're stable, those built on shaky foundations can't stand next to you without trembling. You didn't call them out, your composure did. You didn't dethrone them, your integrity did. That's what makes you different. You're not loud, but you're undeniable. You're not striving to be chosen, but everything real naturally aligns with you. You don't need to fight for attention because you are the attention. Not the superficial kind that fades, but the genuine kind that can't be manufactured, manipulated, or monetized. In a world of performances, your balance isn't just peace, it's proof. Number 14, your calm is a warning sign to the unhealed. Your calm doesn't comfort everyone. It confronts some. To the unhealed, it feels unsettling, almost threatening. They can't quite explain why your peace bothers them, but deep down, they sense it's not softness, it's certainty. Your silence carries the weight of someone who's already seen the outcome and no longer needs to argue about it. It's the kind of calm that comes from inner knowing, not ignorance. And that's what makes them nervous. Your energy doesn't react, it reveals. Unhealed people feed off emotional chaos. They depend on reaction to validate their relevance. When they can't provoke you, they lose their grip. Your stillness forces them to face their own noise, and they don't like what they hear. They start projecting confusion where there's only clarity, trying to read chaos into your composure just to feel comfortable again. But you're not quiet because you're weak. You're quiet because you already understand how it ends. You've lived through enough storms to recognize the pattern before it even starts. That unnerves people who operate in manipulation and control. They realize that you can't be guilt-tripped, baited, or emotionally pulled into their loop anymore. Your peace becomes prophetic. It signals that their old tactics won't work here. They sense a kind of spiritual authority in you that can't be negotiated or deceived. It's the calm of someone who's no longer afraid of losing what they were never meant to keep. That calm is powerful, not loud, not defensive, but final. When you've healed, you stop performing for closure. You stop chasing explanations. You stop entertaining energy that drains you. And while that may look emotionless from the outside, it's actually one of the highest forms of self-respect. The unhealed mistake it for arrogance, but it's really discernment. You simply refuse to invest in anything that keeps you unbalanced, so when your peace enters the room, it shakes things up. It exposes pretenses, manipulations, and hidden insecurities without you saying a word. Your calm becomes a mirror, and not everyone can handle what they see. To the healed, your presence is soothing. To the unhealed, it's a warning, because deep down, they can feel it. You're not reacting because you've already seen the ending, and it doesn't favor their illusion. True power has never been about noise, it's about knowing. The chosen ones don't dominate rooms, they shift them. Their calm isn't silence, it's awareness. Their detachment isn't distance, it's direction. Every ounce of peace they carry is hard-earned wisdom forged in fire. What you've seen throughout these truths isn't ego, it's evolution. You've outgrown the need to prove what's already evident, and your stillness has become its own language, one the unhealed can't decode, and the awakened instantly recognize. You've learned that peace isn't passive, it's prophetic. Balance isn't weakness, it's warfare. And the energy you protect isn't just yours, it's sacred territory. You stopped matching frequencies that don't deserve access, and in doing so, you became unreachable to anything built on illusion. You didn't become calm because life got easy. You became calm because you finally understood what's real. That's your crown, not made of gold, but of grounded truth. So as you keep walking, remember this. Your energy will continue to expose what's false, elevate what's true, and awaken those ready to rise. You don't need to defend your light. Just let it do what it does best. Reveal. If this message spoke to your soul, make sure to subscribe to the channel, like, comment, and share it with someone who needs this reminder. Your support helps this light reach more awakened souls like you. Stay grounded, stay guarded, and stay glowing. Your calm is your crown. Stay awakened, chosen ones.